Have you ever been frustrated with a family member or coworker because they didn't do something that you expected them to do? Well, the same thing can happen between you and your realtor. Sometimes expectations aren't met, or maybe there's poor communication, and that's when emotions really start to rise up. This is the final video in a 4-part series, Questions to Ask a Realtor When Selling. And here are 4 questions to ask that agent before you sign the listing agreement, and they cover expectations and communication. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas with Berkshire Hathaway, HomeServices, Florida Realty. I personally believe that in life, when our expectations aren't met, that's when we're the most sad, mad, disappointed, frustrated, whatever word you want to use. And this can happen in real estate as well. That's why asking the realtor who you're thinking of hiring so many questions up front is vital. I'm going to give you these final 4 questions to ask a realtor when selling, and there's going to be a bonus tip at the end. The first question to ask is, how often am I going to hear from you? Now, each situation is different, and when a house first comes on the market, there's going to be a flurry of activity, and there's going to be, initial efforts for marketing, so you might hear from the agent more often. But if the home doesn't sell right away, then after a while, there's not going to be as much activity. And if you don't hear from that agent, that silence can be deafening, and sellers get really frustrated. So ask that agent, how often can I expect to hear from you during the process? The second question to ask the agent is, how will I hear from you? Everybody's different in how they like to communicate, and there are so many options these days. Phone calls, text messages, emails, you can Zoom or do FaceTime. I even have people contact me through Facebook and through Instagram. So let that agent know what you prefer. I've had people ask me for me to send them a text after I send them an email, so they know to check their email, because maybe that's not how they communicate as much. It also isn't unusual that I send an email after I have an important conversation with somebody. I'll tell them, okay, after I get off the phone with you, I'm going to send you an email as a follow-up to recap everything that we discussed, because I want to make sure that we are on the same page. And then also, it's a really nice reference for that customer later on down the road. They can refer back to it if they're not sure about something, or if they have another question. The third excellent question to ask is, how long is this process going to take? Now, that's actually a very involved question, because selling your home is a long process, and it's made up of a lot of smaller processes or steps. So some of the questions you might ask is, once I sign that listing agreement, how long will it take to have photography? And then when will my house actually go live in the MLS? When might I get the first showing? How long do you think it'll take until I get a contract? How long does it take for us to actually go from contract to closing? Or when do my things need to be out of the property? Now, some of these answers can be very definite, and it's going to stick to that timeline. Some might be a little bit of a guesstimate. So for instance, to ask, how long will it take to get from contract to closing? Well, even if in your market it takes 40 days to close, or that's the average closing time, a buyer could ask for 30 days, or it could even be, ask for 50 days. My sister and brother-in-law up north just got an offer on their house, and it's a cash deal, and they're going to close in 2 weeks, so that's really fast. So those things can change as well. And then also, that communication is a two-way street. So let your realtor know if you have a specific time frame, what might be best for you to actually get the house on the market, what might be best for you in terms of closing. Do you want to wait and close, months down the road? So maybe you need to stay in the home, or maybe, sooner the better. So make sure you communicate that as well with your realtor. The fourth question to ask that agent before you hire them is, what am I not asking? Even if I did a lot more videos about questions to ask, your home, your property, your market, your town is very specific, so they might have some other thoughts. And remember, communication is a two-way street. Maybe you had poor experiences in the past with buying or selling a property, and so share those experiences with that agent. What's important to you might not be important to somebody else, or the other way around. So let them know, so they can be very sensitive to your needs, sensitive to those areas, and they can customize how they handle things to suit you, to make it the best experience possible. Now, this last of 4 videos are a strong sampling of questions to ask any realtor when selling. I tried to give you a mixture of common questions and less common, to help you to get to know that realtor better and determine if it's a good fit before you hire them. And of course, don't be shy about asking anything else. And if you're not comfortable with an answer they give you, ask how they came to that conclusion. You might be surprised at their answer, and they might give you a little bit of insight into something you had not considered. So lean into their expertise and try to set those expectations before you hire them. And of course, don't expect it to look like what you see on TV. I've had sellers say to me, "Oh, it's okay, I understand. I've watched a lot of, name of whatever show on HGTV or something." But those reality shows really aren't reality. And whenever I sit down the first time and talk to buyers and sellers, there is so much information I give to them, and it can feel very overwhelming and it might be hard to retain. So I always let them know not to be afraid to discuss something with me more than once. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, I know, I feel so bad. I know you explained this already, but I just kind of forgot what you said. Can you explain it again?" And of course, I'm more than happy to. I want you to feel comfortable. So make sure you're hiring somebody, an agent that you feel comfortable talking to. Now here's my bonus tip. If you haven't already, before you hire that agent or before you even call to make an appointment to talk to them, stalk them on social media. That's what the internet's for, right? Look them up on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, their website, Google them. Get a feel for who they are. You have to like and trust this person that you're gonna hire. Look at their listings, look at the photography, the write-up. If it's a lovely home and they just have, maybe 10, 12, 15 pictures that they took with their cell phone, you can see the reflection in mirrors, that's not high quality. Look at the write-up, do they have more than just a few sentences to describe that property? Get a feel for them up front so you don't have to go through this whole process with them if you can determine, right out the gate that they might not be a good fit for you. If you haven't watched my other videos on questions to ask a realtor when selling, I recommend you check those out. They're episodes 17 through 19. And if you're thinking of selling outside of the Sarasota Bradenton area, give me a call. I can connect you to an awesome agent where you live. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks so much for watching. Jill Thomas with Berkshire Hathaway, Home Services, Florida Realty.